Hakmaeul Community, Hakdong 팔거리, and the Tangzanamu Tree Story.
Ever heard of the Hakdong 팔거리?
팔거리, an 8-way? I've heard of a 4-way crossroad or a 5-way, but I didn't know there was an 8-way.
This 8-way street 팔거리 was built in 1932 by the Japanese to monitor the residents who had to migrate from the riverside due to the Guangzhou stream maintenance project. These streets remind me of the panopticon from Monitoring and Punishment by French sociologist Michel Foucault. Just like in the book, the villagers were monitored by the central post and forced to work like prisoners. 4 such 8-pronged squares were connected to each other.
They looked down on our people as if they were criminals.
There is very little space between houses in the streets of 팔거리. When a family was having a 된장찌개, everyone in the streets knew about it, and eventually the whole neighborhood would enjoy a shared meal on the streets.
It was a neighborhood in very poor condition, but it sounds like they worked to create a warm and welcoming community.
Another place of note is the Gwangju Kimwoo Museum and Library that is located right next to the Hakdong 팔거리.
Did Kimwoo live here?
Not quite. After hearing about the difficult situation of the compatriots who returned home after the liberation of Korea, Kimwoo organized charity donations and established a village for the victims of war. He named the village Hakmaeul, wishing for it to be a place where 100 families can live in harmony.
That sounds exactly like what Kimwoo would do.
Hakmaeul village had disappeared after the urban development project, but the Hakdong History Museum and the Gwangju Kimwoo Museum and Library stand at the location of the village, informing the life and activities of Kimwoo. Lastly, there's another meaningful movement that recently began in Hakdong. It's called the Return of Tangzanamu Tree Project. The Tangzanamu tree is a sacred tree to the locals that once survived the redevelopment of Hakdong 팔거리. Unfortunately, it was struck by a ladder truck and was eventually forgotten to the residents. Now, the residents gathered their strength to save the sick tree and return it to its former glory as the embodiment of the village guardian spirit. People used to gather around the Tangzanamu tree to relax under the shade, share meals, and discuss the issues within the village. It was a place within the community that brought people together. Besides, during the Korean War or when there was fire, people would ring the bell tied to the Tangzanamu tree to warn their neighbors. When residents heard the loud ringing of the bell, they would wake up in the middle of the night and rush out to help put out the fire. I think it's our job to protect and care for the local resources like these interesting folklores and pass them on to the next generation.
Right. Through movements like this, we are working together to build a family-like community.